is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Samsung Chromebook. This one is simply called Chromebook, but it's a late 2012 model. It sells for only $249. And for that you get actually a very good keyboard, a roomy trackpad, a matte 11.6-inch display. Pretty thin, pretty light, runs Chrome OS, so we're going to look at it now. So here it is, the latest Chromebook model as of December 2012, came out in November, available at Best Buy and Amazon.com. It's your latest Chromebook model. What's really good about the Chromebook this time around? It's only $249. Yeah, I mean that's cheaper than a lot of netbooks. It's certainly cheaper than other notebook computers and most tablets, at least 10-inch tablets that are on the market. So before, when we complain about Chromebooks running Chrome OS, which is basically just the Chrome web browser, you live inside the web browser, everything you do is through Chrome and through extensions to Chrome. They said, well, you know, not so sure about that, especially because you require an internet connection to do a lot of the things you want to get done. But for $250, if you are the kind of person who's always near a Wi-Fi hotspot or you have the mobile hotspot on your phone, it's definitely worth a look, particularly if you're into productivity with a good keyboard. First we'll look at the outside. And honestly, compared to the $500 Samsung 550 Chromebook that we looked at a couple of months ago, this one looks pretty nice too. You know, it doesn't look a whole lot cheaper, even though it's half the price. It's obviously made of plastic, but they do it in a very nicely finished plastic. It doesn't scream on plastic, unlike some Samsung tablets and smartphones. Good looking product. Interesting the way the hinge kind of pops up at the top here. Thin, 0.7 inches, weighs only 2.42 pounds, and it's an 11.6-inch machine, so it's also very portable. You can see right here we have a full-size SD card slot. It's compatible with SD cards, but not XC cards, so that means 32 gigs is the limit. Here's your combo mic headphone jack on this side. And on the back here we have a USB 3.0 port, a USB 2.0 port, a full-size HDMI port, so where you plug in the charger. And here would be the optional SIM card slot. There is none here so far. I haven't seen it available with a SIM card in it, so we're looking at a Wi-Fi only machine. Nothing going on this side. And on the bottom we have stereo speakers, and this is where you're going to find the actual model number. Since Google only refers to this as the Chromebook, you can see over here that it is the Samsung 303C model, or XE303C. Little rubber feet here. Again, really not a bad looking machine. As we take a look inside, you can see we have a really nice roomy chiclet keyboard here. And it's a pleasure to type on. It's not backlit. For $250, you're not going to get a backlit keyboard, but nice tactile feel, response, good size for an 11.6-inch machine. They really brought it out as wide as they possibly could. And we got some shortcuts here for things like your volume control, your brightness, convenience keys, and that's where your power button is right here. And we have a roomy multi-touch trackpad that responds really well. And another thing that you're going to notice is that this machine's display is not glaring at you. It's a matte display. That's the good news. In terms of quality, this is a TN panel, which means that you're not going to have super wide viewing angles. So it's not too terrible. And you're going to have to shift it forward and back to see the sweet spot. See how much brighter it's getting just by my moving it a little bit, and it's going to get pretty dark. So you're going to have to angle it the right way to look at it yourself when you're using it. But as relatively speaking budget machines go with TN panels, it's actually not that bad a display. The resolution is 1366 by 768, again it's 11.6 inches, and we have a VGA webcam up here, and there's a built-in microphone. Inside the story is pretty interesting. This is the first ARM-based Chromebook. ARM is what we see in mobile devices like Android tablets and smartphones, and it's got the new Samsung Exynos dual-core, and that's an ARM A15. That's a new modern dual-core chipset from Samsung available inside of this. And honestly, in terms of performance, it's somewhere between the Atom and the Celeron-based Chromebooks. I find that it's absolutely just fine. If you get 15 tabs open and you have video streaming, you'll notice it slow down a little, but not too bad. It's got 2 gigs of RAM inside, and there's 16 gigs of flash storage. Since this is a cloud-based device primarily, the amount of storage is not all that important. Since it does have an SD card slot, though, you can put documents on there, movies, music, whatever you want. And in fact, we have our SD card right here, 16 gig, just standard SD card. We're going to pop into the slot on the side so you can see what happened. You'll notice the card does stick out a bit from the side, so if that kind of thing bothers you, well, there that is. And once we stick it in, it opens up the little file manager on screen here. You can see, so we have access to our stuff. We've got some Office documents, so we'll just tap on that. We're going to open that up with Google Docs. We are connected to our network with Wi-Fi right now, but Offline you can use Google Docs, which means you can do your Word, Excel, and PowerPoint compatible stuff offline as well. And if we go back to our listings, we have some movies on here too, some movie trailers. I'm going to try one out. Now this is a 1080p trailer, which would be useful if you're doing HDMI out more than playing on the internals 720p panel, but you can see how performance is. And our speaker volume is near max right now. Speakers are at the bottom, firing down. It's not too bad for a small machine size-wise, sound-wise.
Well, I can honestly say I have told you the truth. I may not have told you.
And there, since it's a TN panel, the dark scenes, well, they do look a little bit muddy, but it gets the job done. Now with Chrome OS, as I said, really everything that you're doing inside the web browser. You do, however, get a desktop. You can put a wallpaper up there. You can choose which little shortcuts are down here right now. By default, we have the Chrome web browser, Gmail, our Google Plus, and our YouTube player, rather. And if you want to get to all of your applications, there's a little grid pattern there, and this shows you all the apps that have installed. Now this concludes some things that we've downloaded, but you do get the YouTube player, again the Chrome web browser, Gmail's on here, the Google Plus, the Scratchpad, Google Maps, Google Drive. So all your Google services are here. You'll notice I downloaded Netflix, but Netflix isn't ready for ARM CPUs yet on Chromebook. That is coming. Our file manager that you just saw, there's an Evernote app. There's all sorts of extensions for Chrome that you can download. We have basic PIMs here. We have access to Google Calendar, which looks exactly the same as if you're looking at Google Calendar in the web browser on your computer. Likewise, the Gmail experience is the same thing because everything does happen in the web browser. And Google Play is also a web browser experience, so is Google Play Music. So here's our Google Play Store, and we can look at our stuff, and here's some movies that I have purchased. And we can play it right in the web browser. Streaming this over a Wi-Fi 802.11n network. This has dual band Wi-Fi 802.11 BGN. It also has Bluetooth 3.0. So there it is, streaming just fine from our Google Play account. And now we're trying out Hulu. This is regular Hulu through the web browser, not Hulu Plus. And here we are streaming a TV show from Hulu. And here we are. This is YouTube just as you know it again in your web browser, because you are living in your web browser with Chrome. Plays just fine. Works just fine. Now to show you the extent to which you actually will live inside your web browser, you can see we are still in Chrome here with the tab browsing experience and even the basic settings for the device. What wireless you're connecting to, various settings, you're going to do that in a web browser window as well. And you do have Google Calendar on here, which once again is through the web browser, so that's the standard calendar view that you're accustomed to. And if you want to get to your contacts, you'll do that through Gmail on the address book inside of Gmail. And of course we have Google Play Books as well, also running through the web browser. Right now we're enjoying Pride and Prejudice in facing page mode. Works just fine. And for those of you who want to use this for video chatting, we do have the VGA camera up top. VGA not super exciting, but it's decent enough, and you can use that with Google Video Chat if you want to talk with your friends, families, coworkers, or anybody else you actually have to talk to over video or voice. Since this is running on an ARM mobile CPU and it's a fanless design, battery life is decent on it. It's about 6.5 hours. That's what Google claims, and that's actually what we found to be true on the device. So certainly not bad. That's respectable. It's what you'd expect from an Ultrabook kind of device as well. And it's nice that it's fanless. It doesn't get hot. It doesn't get noisy. Yet the performance is pretty good on it. Now, as always, the difficulty or the drawback with Chrome OS is for those of you who are used to installing programs, be it on iOS, on Android, or on your Windows machine, you don't just install Android apps on this. It's not compatible. Certainly it doesn't run Windows applications. You're not going to be loading games on here other than browser-based games that are supported in Chrome as an extension or just browsing-based games in general. The applications that are available, well, if you're wondering about that, just go to the Chrome webpage. Google has one. Go to Google/Chrome and look at all the extensions that are available for Chrome, and there's quite a few in there. Basically, it takes a lot of web services and it turns them into little icons with streamlined shortcuts to get you right where you need to go. So for $250, certainly you get a great keyboard here. You get something that's lightweight. We like the matte display. It's not the best display I've ever seen, but it's not too bad, and matte really Well, that does the trick for me. It avoids a whole lot of glare and it reduces the need for a whole lot of brightness. As long as you have a handy-dandy internet connection, then it's certainly a useful enough device if you're near Wi-Fi, or again if you have that mobile hotspot on your phone, because most everything on this is cloud-based. It depends on access to the internet to work. A few things do work offline. For example, you can use the MS Office compatible Google Docs suite on this. You can actually access your calendar stuff. You can store files offline or keep them on an SD card. But no web browsing, no email, no streaming video, all of those things that you would have come to expect. If you have some locally stored video, sure, you can play that. So you know better than anybody else whether that's something that's going to work for you. Do you have a constant and reliable internet connection, and is that something that works for you? Would you like to just work inside the web browser? I mean, it's a very unified UI that way. Or would you like the flexibility of being able to install all sorts of applications? For $250, it's not a very expensive gamble to take if you want to try it out, I'll say that. And it's a nice looking machine. It feels good, it feels light, solid enough. Doesn't look cheap, doesn't look cheesy. Not bad. So that's the late 2012 Samsung Chromebook. It's available now for only $249 as the Wi-Fi only model. And honestly, for the price, finally we're not going to complain too much. Before, when Chromebooks were more expensive relative to other machines, we said, well, it's a hard sell. But now it's starting to look pretty good. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.